Hello, everybody. I'm Ben Simon, live from my apartment, and I'm very excited about our upcoming season, so to speak, of pro wrestling events. Tonight's title is kind of provocative and it might seem irresponsible, but the truth is, if you've been looking at the wrestling calendar for the past month, it looks like, by default, all of the promoters have determined that come March, the pandemic is over. Now, I'm not talking about, fundamentally, we don't need to be careful or anything like that. We do need to keep our guard up, no doubt. But there are events on the calendar, and just about every weekend now. It's getting very exciting, and I can't wait to share what I have with you today. There's not a lot of new, late-breaking news on the horizon that I can share with you, but I am excited to look at the calendar coming up. And if there's no viewers, which we haven't done a live broadcast on this YouTube channel ever before, so it's very well could be 0 viewers. But if there are any viewers, I'll take questions about anything. So we had a show, the debut WrestleMax STL happened on February 20th, and it was at Red Flag STL. It was an amazing venue. It'd be even better if there wasn't a 100 or so person limit on admission, but this place is amazing. The suites, the upper balcony of Red Flag, where WrestleMax ran, they're made of storage containers, like shipping containers you'd see like on a dock, with the sides cut out. So that was really neat. The action was amazing. Kevin Lee Davidson and Mike Outlaw tore the house down. The main event was Sue Young and Blair Onyx. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. And if you weren't there, you're still waiting to see the VOD. And the video on demand information will be available in the coming days, I hear. That's the news from WrestleMax. I'm just taking a moment to make sure that we are online. The behavior between the software and YouTube itself you got to know how it behaves. Sometimes it goes live straight away, and other times you think it does, and you're just really talking to yourself. Okay, yeah, it's live. Awesome. So coming up next in the St. Louis area is World League Wrestling. Again, we just had a show on March 6th in Troy, Missouri, this past weekend, and it was Moses' first event as the World League Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Everybody had a really fun night. The main event was all champions. Moses and Sean Patrick, the Junior Heavyweight King, took on the Tag Team Champions, The Empire, Camaro Jackson and John Webb. Camaro Jackson gave me some crap in our interview, but what can you do? So did John Webb, for that matter. March 27th is their next event. World League Wrestling returns home to the Race Wrestling Arena in Troy, Missouri. And this is going to be one you won't want to miss. And I would recommend getting tickets now, because we are seeing sellouts of every show because of COVID-19 limitations. If you can't get in the building and the event isn't streaming, which is still somewhat of a rarity for independent events around here, you're missing out. Until it hits TV or the internet, however many weeks or months later. We're going to have a 15-man rival riot. That's World League Wrestling's take on the Royal Rumble. 2 men start in the ring every 90 seconds or regular interval in between. Another person will enter the ring, throw the guy over the top rope to eliminate him, and the last guy in the ring at the very end is the winner. And in this instance, we'll get a heavyweight title shot at Moses. He'll be the next shot, the date to be determined. So if anyone's interested in, if anyone's from a company wants to promote their event in the chat, feel free to do so. If not, I'm about to do it anyway, so it doesn't matter. We'll be on until about 10:30. Well, anyway, that's weird. So if you're wondering what just happened, I have a mechanical sit-stand desk, and it just decided to descend. But as you can tell, it's very chill in here. This is not like this is not a wrestling podcast. This is just me going live. If you must know, I got an email a week and a half ago from YouTube that said that the channel had been too inactive and it was going to be completely demonetized if I didn't use it in some way. Here I am. Honestly, this channel has, it can be a big asset. And if anyone ever wants to stream their event to it, or upload a video to it, let me know. thebensimon@aol.com, or hit me up on Facebook. It started as the YouTube channel for South Broadway years ago, MMWA to be specific. And well, here we are today. It's no one's channel. But it just belongs to stlouiswrestling.com, a site I've run for about 10 years now, and every wrestling company is promoted there. And World League Wrestling, March 27th, the Rival Riot, 15-man over-the-top rope Royal Rumble. You're not going to want to miss that. April 3rd will be WrestleMax STL Episode 2, and they're going back to Red Flag STL, or it's just called Red Flag in Midtown, the place with the storage containers as the suites, as I was talking about. And that night, we will have the second annual David Lee Memorial Tournament. David Lee Kwiatkowski is Kevin Lee Davidson's father, and this last year, KLD won that namesake tournament in honor of his dad in Afton, hosted at that time by Glory Pro Wrestling, which Kevin was co-promoting. So now it's in WrestleMax, and big news that just got broke either today or yesterday by WrestleMax. The winner of this 8-person single elimination tournament, the David Lee Memorial Tournament, will not just be the second annual winner, but will also be the inaugural champion of WrestleMax STL, the River City champion. The River City Championship, which, it's all on the line. And that's April 3rd. And remember, tickets sold out for the last event, for their first one, Episode 1, and you still cannot see it online. They're going to see it soon. You're going to see it soon, but you haven't seen it yet if you weren't there. So April 3rd, you want to get your tickets now, WrestleMax STL on Facebook. To do that, you don't want to miss out of this David Lee Memorial Tournament. So let's recap. So far, March 27th, we have the 15-man Rival Riot in Troy, Missouri with World League Wrestling. Winner gets a heavyweight title shot. On April 3rd, WrestleMax STL in Midtown at Red Flag, the 8-man single elimination tournament in honor of KLD's dad. It's going to be a good one, and the winner is the champion of WrestleMax, the River City champion. And then after that, we have 2 pretty exciting weeks at the South Broadway Athletic Club. For those of you who are thinking April 10th and April 11th are WrestleMania weekend, well, this year is a little bit different because everybody's been so pent up during the pandemic. They want to run shows, and they don't care if they run against WrestleMania. It's happening several times across the state outside of St. Louis, and in St. Louis on April 10th, Saturday, April 10th, MMWA Wrestling, the South Broadway original, is returning for their first event in 13 months, since March 14th of last year. And that was actually the last show before everything shut down. It was during the pandemic, 3 days in, and everybody was very uneasy but it happened. And 13 months later, it's going to happen again on Saturday, April 10th. No matches have been announced as of yet, and really only one graphic has been released for the event, but it is happening, and there's a little bit different than before. If you've been going to South Broadway for years, you know that the bell time was always 8 p.m. The bell time now is 7 p.m., and going forward, that's going to be a change. Change the bell time at South Broadway to 7 p.m. for MMWA going forward, and tickets for everyone are $10. And just like the other events, this one is probably going to sell out, and you might want to get your tickets in advance if you're going to this WrestleMania weekend. It's going head-to-head with WrestleMania Night 1. If you're going to this WrestleMania weekend event, MMWA at the South Broadway Athletic Club on Saturday, April 10th. $10 for everyone, including kids. Limited attendance. I think they're going to have 150 is what I read. 150 at South Broadway. And 1 week later, the South Broadway Athletic Club is kicking it again with something that's maybe equally, if not slightly more historic. It's the debut of Glory Pro Wrestling at the historic SBAC. They said it couldn't be done. Okay, no other company is going to run at South Broadway. Now, a few years ago, Dynamo Pro did. It was a Sunday show with strange donuts and the beer company, Four Hands. It was a fun event. It was a Sunday event. So that was the first kind of break in that rule that Tony Costa had with the had with the South Broadway Athletic Club for many, many years. MMWA was the house promotion. Well, now we have two, because Glory Pro is looking for a new home, and they're looking at South Broadway Athletic Club, and it's happening on Saturday, April 17th, 1 week after MMWA. All tickets are $20, I do believe, and front row is sold out. Once again, like all the other shows, I think this is going to be capped at $150, judging by MMWA's figure. So if you're going to Glory Pro Wrestling on Saturday, April 17th, you're going to want to get your tickets. Check them out on Facebook, gloryprowrestling.com, and all social media platforms. You know how it is. Fragments of Memory says KLD is a beast, and I couldn't agree more. It's going to be interesting to see how he runs WrestleMax STL as promoter and pro wrestler. It's a lot to juggle. I can't imagine doing such a thing, but yeah, and he's also got a he's not just a beast in the ring, he's a beast at entrepreneurship. He with his 1999 vintage clothing company. So if you want to go thrifting for some cool shirts, hit KLD up. One-stop shop, man. If anyone wants to talk about anything in particular, sidetrack me from rambling, go right ahead. Like I said, it's a super chill night. I've got my Ocean Breeze candle lit right here. I've got this new microphone. And I've got my Sippin' Pretty. So, on April 27th, we actually have a lot of the card for Glory Pro and WrestleMax's next shows has been announced already, if not the entire shebang. The first match that was announced for Glory Pro on April 17th, I think Glory Pro's idea is when you announce an event, announce the main event. And the main event is a big one. AJ Gray versus Jake something. AJ Gray will be putting his Crown of Glory championship on the line against Jake something. And neither of these men has wrestled at South Broadway before. Both are pretty new to the state of Missouri in general. I've only wrestled plenty in Illinois. But in the city of St. Louis especially, no. It's been like one time for each. So the Crown of Glory is going to be on the line. And I was talking with Danny Adams recently, Dan the Dad, who runs Glory Pro. And I said quite candidly, and I'm going to tell all of you, that I am pretty safe in saying that, with all due respect to everyone else, Jake something challenging AJ Gray, it looks to be like it might be the best match at the South Broadway Athletic Club since about 2016. You remember 2016 at South Broadway, MMWA was just phenomenal. So much young talent, and a lot of them got signed to local contracts with the National Wrestling League out of Kansas City starting in 2017. So there was a reason why South Broadway in 2016 was so damn good. And if you ever talk to me, you know I don't shut up about it. It's time once again. Glory Pro, April 17th, 1 week after MMWA returns to South Broadway triumphantly on Saturday, April 10th. Beyond that, I want to talk about something that usually, it's not too cool to talk about, maybe. And that's on May 1st. Pro Wrestling Epic comes to Alton. That's Lenny Mephisto's company. For those of you who know Lenny Mephisto, he's not without controversy. Legitimately despised by many other promoters in the area. Mud show promoter. Violent, foul-mouthed. Shoves referees out of the ring. I was there the night he shoved Jim Harris out of the ring. And he was fired from South Broadway. Keith Smith tried to have him arrested. I have it on video. I should have loaded it in here. What am I thinking? But that's a shoot. He was threatened with arrest unless he exited the building. He runs a wrestling company, and he's coming back on Saturday. I think it's a Saturday, May 1st. I think the whole point of me rambling on about these events is just basically to kind of get some cohesion going with the stlouiswrestling.com website. If you've run across that website over sometime in the past 10 years and seen the calendar, the title histories, the information about some of the companies, not all of them, I really want to add St. Louis Anarchy back there whenever they're back in action, because I've never had anything against Anarchy. I used to announce for them, but I run that site. And it's really only me. I've given other people the keys to it before, but as is the case most of the times in independent wrestling, every project is a solo project. It's so hard to get someone to collaborate. But stlouiswrestling.com is my website. It's my baby, and I hope you check it out. And there's so many people who I've never met, or I've met through chance, and they talk about this site that they found that has all of the dates upcoming for wrestling in the area. And I don't know who puts these dates in, but all of the events, and the ticket price, and the bell time, and the match listings, courtesy of Patrick Brandmeier, the match listings. But where does that come from? And it comes from me. And I hope you check it out, stlouiswrestling.com. You got to spell out Saint because the ST version was not available to buy. So, any company worth anything has their title histories listed there, with the exception of, here I go, I'm going to crucify myself by just saying that, but St. Louis Anarchy. I want to get Anarchy on there. I've asked them before, and they're not really interested, and that's fine, Why can't I just do it myself? Just add them? It's because their title history is mired in mystery. It goes back 21 years or so through two different companies. So if I'm going to add St. Louis Anarchy's title histories, I would need that information. And anyone who has it, send it my way. thebensimon@aol.com. So it's already been 18 minutes, if you can believe it. We can talk about anything you'd like. I'm going to give it about 1 minute for the chat, and then I'll head on out. Don't want to overstay my welcome. But there's a lot going on this year. MWR's Missouri rankings are still being calculated. My schedule is just really filled up as a ring announcer, and I'm really excited for 2021 so far, the rest of it. Wonder if anyone's going to WrestleMania. I'm planning on it. Tuesday, when tickets go on sale, it's going to be a massacre. But, frankly, I can't wait. You know, I think most of us are getting to that point. Okay, so to wrap it up, the pandemic is not over, but wrestling shows are being scheduled again. Events can be held, and it's going to be fun. How many companies are in the Metro St. Louis area? Wrestling companies. That's a good question. It depends on what you consider a wrestling company. Let's go on over to and also another thing that's kind of funny. MMWA recently was advertising that they have been around since 1971. Well, that's not true. Tony Costa, the late promoter of the company, we discussed many times how he started in the mid-'80s. Most records suggest 1985. 1971 was when Herb Simmons got into the promoting game, the promoter of Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling, Tony Costa's sister company, but not the one that ran at South Broadway. But man, you talk about South Broadway, that's well over 100 years of history. You know, they've been in that same building, the club has, since 1914. I was there for the 100th anniversary, August of 2014. And the club itself has been around for about 15 years longer than that. And wrestling has been a part of South Broadway for many, 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 many decades. And in its current incarnation, Tony Costa's company since 1985. Yeah, Fragments of Memory. Thanks for joining me. I can just ramble all night. Any other questions? Just rapid fire. Just throw them at me. Also, if I know you, who are you? Because you don't see a lot of independent live streams on YouTube. It's all on Facebook. So I'm not familiar with screen names. Trying to grow this channel again. It's kind of been a little sleepy for a while. Haven't we all, though? That is a fine sour. Okay. I feel like I had a whole bunch of other things to talk about. I can't say enough. If you're in the area and March 27th, you're not doing anything yet, take control of your life right now. World League Wrestling, HarleyRace.com, World League Wrestling on Facebook. Check it out. The Rival Riot. It's a miniature local Royal Rumble. You don't know who's going to show up. It's going to be great. 15-man over the top Rival Riot. And Jack Gamble has already declared for the first spot. I'm not sure why he wanted the first spot, but I guess he wants to be a hero. The winner of the Rumble gets a shot at Moses, the very young and some may say unlikely World League Wrestling heavyweight champion. But he is the champion by right. And then April 3rd, man, if you like Rumbles and tournaments, this next month, it's for you. April 3rd, it is WrestleMax STL Episode 2 at Red Flag in Midtown St. Louis. They were the first show in the city of St. Louis in a year, last month. And next month, they're doing it again. 8-man single elimination David Lee Memorial Tournament. The winner is going to be the very first WrestleMax STL champion. They're calling it the River City Championship. And you don't want to miss seeing the first champion crowned because you can't see the first champion crowned again. A few of my friends hipped me to the South Broadway gym back a couple of years ago. That gym is legendary, or it was. I don't know what it is, honestly, the gym on Cave Street. If you don't know, the South Broadway Athletic Club is not the South Broadway gym. The gym is on Cave Street, a few blocks down 7th. And it is, or was, something else. It is something out of Apollo Creed's Los Angeles gym in Rocky 3. It was dingy. I don't know whether to talk about it in the past or present tense, but it's dingy, it's dirty, and it's where heroes are made and legends are told. I was only there a few times over the years because I did interviews there every now and then when I was announcing for South Broadway, but we didn't have shows there. It was just a training facility. You had the boxing guys in the back of the building, you had the wrestling guys in the front of the building, and there was a basement too. And man, I don't know if you could have cleaned that place up if you tried, but it was unfortunate. A couple of years ago, Tony Costa, the late Tony Costa, was a little somber in the locker room before a show at South Broadway, and he said, "Guys, we're gonna have to sell the gym." It's the end of an era. So that was the end of the slow end of the wrestling training program there, as it was kind of outsourced or done other places. They tried it in the back room at South Broadway, the actual athletic club. But I don't know if it's sustained for any amount of time. I stopped announcing there in mid-2018. Didn't really want to. You're welcome, WWLTD. Thanks for all the information. Who's the wrestler in your profile picture? I'm trying to get... Is that Luthez? My guess is Luthez. I can't see because it's so tiny. So any other questions or any other topics anyone wants to talk about before I get out of here, hit me with them. There's a lot of fun shows coming up today, as of today, And you can find them at stlouiswrestling.com, and all of them have limited attendance, and they're all going to sell out most likely, so you got to get your tickets beforehand. Luthez, yep. You want to see something cool? Look at this. Luthez right here, and it's signed. This is from the International Wrestling Institute and Museum, which was in Newton, Iowa. I think it's in another city now. I'll hang that up in a bit. That's one of my most cherished wrestling items. And it was just covered in spider webs, apparently. Yeah, the greatest world champion of all time. I mean, you combine up all his title reigns, it's 13 years. I mean, he basically owned the world championship for a good amount of that time. So did Vern Gagne, but it is what he did. He's one of the best. Okay, well, I guess that's just about it. I only got a few viewers tonight, but at least I wasn't completely alone. So thanks for humoring me and hopefully keeping this channel alive. Because if you missed it earlier, the original reason that I'm doing this is because I got an email last Monday from YouTube, and it said, your channel is going inactive. You haven't done anything for a while, so we're going to demonetize it. If you demonetize it, you can't go live anymore. You're just a nothing channel. I'm not getting rich with this channel, but monetization gives you a lot of abilities here on YouTube. Yes. Okay, two things. Are there videos of his matches? Yeah, you can check YouTube. There's a bit of cool Luthez content on WWE Network. I think you can still see his 1961 match with Buddy Rogers at Comiskey Park. That's probably the best surviving footage widely available. But yeah, there's content on YouTube, and there's also a little gem from WWE Network I saw recently from Lou's later days. I think it was in 1986. It was a Legends Battle Royal, Old Timers Battle Royal, I think is what they called it. And all of these legends that were considered legends in 1986 hit the ring and had an over-the-top rope battle royal. And Fez actually won. And then after the event, they interviewed all of the legends one by one backstage. And you can see all that footage. And I think it's like just a 45-minute compilation on WWE Network. If you haven't checked that out, you should. The Old Timers Battle Royal. And do it soon, because, with the switch to Peacock, that probably won't be available for a while as the transition happens. It's not about reigns, it's about days. Yep. And reigns are much more marketable than days, but it is, to the wrestling nerds like us, all about the days. And Luthez, depending on what title you count in the 1930s, I'm getting real deep in the weeds here, but depending on what title reign you count in the 30s, and whether or not you count the AWA title as the real World's Championship as opposed to the NWA one later on in the 60s and 70s, your greatest of all time by total combined days as champion is either Luthez, Ric Flair, or Vern Gagne. So for my money, Luthez. But I won't argue with Ric Flair. And Vern, come on, AWA. AWA has a St. Louis connection, where we're at, but a little too regional. Wasn't the real World Championship. Yeah, I'm one of those people. The real World's Championship. Fight me. And of course, the real World's Champion right now is Bobby Lashley. Couldn't believe it. Bobby Lashley wins the big one. Submits The Miz in a second. Okay, guys. I think that's it. Lou could take them. No doubt. No doubt. If you're going to create Lou Thez in a WWE video game, just set all those stats to 100. No doubt. Okay, well, it's about time. It's about time for what? Me to get off of here? I can't disagree. So this video is going to be viewed by people after the fact. So if you're watching and you're a wrestling promoter and you want to utilize this channel, or you know someone who would want to utilize this channel and stream your event live, you can do it for cheap. And you already have 1,400 some odd subscribers, and it's only going to grow from there. I do want to bring this channel back to relevancy. It used to be relevant so much. It had content from South Broadway, content from SICW and East Carondelet, and other places. Okay. Good night, everyone. So long from the Show Me State.